Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the Creative Nowhere Land podcast. Today I'm joined by my friend, award-winning creative and entrepreneur, Mr. Dean Gordon. Dean has always been not only one of the most creative people I know, but also one of the most driven, disciplined and determined. And he's been a constant source of inspiration to me over the last 20 years of knowing him. In this episode, Dean talks us through where that drive originates from and how that drive and determination has taken him on a journey from being a freelance designer, creating cover art for video games such as Resident Evil, FIFA and Harry Potter, to now running his own very successful design and digital agency, MediaBeast. The whole time navigating that fine balance between the creative side of things and the business side of things, breaking through any of the barriers put in his way through, well, in most cases, sheer self-belief. We also talk about how an unconventional trip in 2017 inspired and paved the way for Dean's newest project, Bloco, which is set to be a platform for greatness and a platform that Dean hopes can make real change and impact by building communities that are accessible to absolutely everybody. As I've already said, Dean is one of my most inspiring and most driven and determined friends, so I hope that the conversation that we have can inspire you in some way. Make sure you check out MediaBeast and Bloco via the links in the show notes while you're listening, of course, and I hope you enjoy the episode. Let's get on with it. Dude, thank you very much for doing the Creative Nowhere Land podcast. I appreciate it.
No problem.
Dean, I've got you on because, as I've said, you have always, as long as I've known you, which is 20 years plus, have always been about drive, discipline, determination. But before we get into all of those reasons, how do you describe yourself when people ask you, like, what you do? Are you a creative? Are you an entrepreneur? Are you...
It's a funny one because in theory, I would just say I'm a creative because that's what I see myself from young. I like to create, I like to build things, I like to do stuff what's a little bit out of the ordinary, a bit of a challenge. But now, probably people would say I'm more of an entrepreneur because I do it on a bigger scale. So I'm not just creating for myself, I'm creating for a mass audience, do you know what I'm saying?
For reference, Dean and I went to university together a million years ago. But ever since, it is a long time.
It is. I was thinking about that the other day.
But even then, you had that drive and determination. And since leaving university, I would have always put you as a businessman.
Why'd you say that though? In what context?
I think it's because I've always watched you grind so hard, and I know you're doing creating, but I've always watched you grow, and we can get into the story of that. So that was why I'm interested in that first sort of question, sort of just to try and define, because I know you as this super creative, but I also now know of you as this hardcore entrepreneur. So I wanted to know where you sort of see yourself.
I think, as I said, from a young age, it was just always something where I didn't really want to follow the norm of what was going on around me. So I thought I'd rather create something or be creative in myself to create something a lot bigger than just me. So when I started, it was just like I was an artist. As you said, I used to love drawing, I used to love painting, all that kind of stuff. But then it kind of took me on a journey from creating just on a paper to creating products, to creating business ideas, like you're saying. And then from there, it just grew. I think it was a time where I saw a bit of a switch is when I actually left university. And even though I was quite academic and kind of creating at university, when I came out, and I tried to fit into the normal way of, okay, go and get a job within your creative business, no one would employ me. So it was quite hard I was thinking, okay, then I'm creating all this stuff. I've always been a creative, but now I'm trying to go out into the real world, as they called it. It was like, okay, I've got all these skills, but no one would employ me. So it was like, I didn't get it. So I think the creativity from that point went into the business mind where I've got to do it myself. And I had the skill to do it myself because I've got the discipline and determination to do things myself. So that's probably where it went from being a creative to how you see me as a businessman. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So, but in your eyes now, even now, you see yourself as a creative.
I'm a bit of everything, to be honest. I'm a bit of a what would you call it?
I'm less than to say jack of all trades, because that almost belittles it. But you've had to pick up different, as any self-employed creative solo entrepreneur has to do. I suppose you learn.
But for some reason, I feel like I can do it all. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've got that drive where I feel like, you know what, I just won't be beaten. I'll just keep going and I'll do it until I get to where I want to be. And I don't know if that's, like I said, some people would say, oh, you can't do that, you're going to burn out. But it's just like, I believe that I can do it all.
Okay. So
to be honest.
No, and that's a great mentality to have, because if you haven't got your own belief in yourself, that's very difficult. Okay. Let's take it back to baby Dean.
Okay.
Talk to me about growing up in Northampton. Talk to me about your childhood. Talk to me about creativity as a child, really, because I mean, we've spoken before this and I know bits of the story, but you're a bit of an outlier in your...
It's a weird one, because a lot of my family, my brother, should I say, sister, they kind of took a different direction in terms of me. For some reason, everyone went right, I went left. Not quite sure why at the time. But yeah, I grew up in Northampton, went to a grammar school, boys' school, worked pretty hard there as well, got good grades. I went to college, studied art and design there, and then went to university from there in Birmingham. So
I feel like you've skipped over that quite a bit, and I understand why, but I think there's a lot of stuff from you growing up and your childhood.
Yeah. Well,
I don't want it to be the Stephen Bartlett, what do I need to know about your childhood? I do believe going backwards and seeing, you're from a Caribbean Christian.
So my mum and dad, both from Jamaica, came over at a young age. So obviously they had certain disciplines they brought into us as children, what we had to kind of follow.
Such as, is that from the Christian side of things?
I'm not going to get into religion too much because I'm not really into that. But my mum was a Christian. My dad didn't really follow church. He didn't really believe in all that. But my mum, she was we had to go to church every Sunday. Mm-hmm. We had to go to Sunday discipline. School. Yeah, it wasn't really something that I enjoyed, but you kind of had to do it. It was discipline. We're going to church today, going to Sunday school. It is what it is. So that was pretty much a lot of my childhood. And then my dad, very disciplined man. Well, Caribbean parents were like, you've got to work, you've got to get a good job. And for me to be like, well, I want to do art or I want to do, it didn't really sit well. Yeah. It was like, well, no.
So did you have pushback from people?
I wouldn't say pushback, but I remember saying to my parents, like, I wanted to be a mechanic at the time because I liked creating things and they were like, no. And I was like, that's what I like to do. And they're like, no, there's no future in that. There's no business in that. I was like, okay, then maybe I'll look into going into building, because it was just something that I just like to create stuff. And they were like, well, no, because it's just not something where you can get a good job and get further in a job. So I was just like, I didn't get it. But I think from when they grew up, that it was like, got to get a good job and just work really hard.
And what was there? Was it the doctor, the lawyer?
No, it was more like, it was maybe like get a job in a good bank or a finance and kind of
with
work
longevity.
Exactly.
I see.
You've got to work your way to the top to a good job. But for some reason, for me, that just didn't.
Do you think that's a generational thing? Like a bit more, we've got to play the safer option?
In that period of when they were growing up, yes, probably more so than it is now. Obviously, they have crazy hardships growing up. My grandparents, my parents. But
your grandparents came over first?
Yes.
Yeah.
My granddad, both sides, they came over first and then sent back for my parents to come over and live and work. Mm. They probably didn't have the opportunities that we've got now to do certain things. So it was very much work.
So yeah, perhaps just
put your blinkers on.
Yeah,
just
put the blinkers on and work.
Work really hard, you'll do really well. Whereas now we know that's not, you work hard doesn't mean you're going to.
So you're saying that the family was quite like one way and you were creative.
Yeah.
I know you were part of the Young Mechanics scheme, which they weren't keen on, but like this joy of finding the interest in building things, creating things, when did that go from sort of like the mechanic to the more, shall we say in inverted commas, creative art-based design?
I used to love bikes, basically. I used to love motorbikes. I used to ride motocross when I was young with my friends over the field and stuff like that. So I used to love bikes, and obviously the mechanics come with the bikes and putting a 2-stroke petrol in. It was all that kind of, I really want to do this. I suppose it's because there's nothing else to do. That was what I thought, that would be good. So that's where the mechanics come into it. But in terms of the art side of it, it was just I was good at it and I enjoyed it. So I was like, maybe I'll pursue that. I was still good at other stuff, technology. I was good at maths, terrible at English, still probably not the greatest at English. But it was just those things seem to stick. The art, the creativity, the design. And I just ran with it.
Despite having that pushback, again, not trying to, I say pushback because it's just an easy word, but just like that, shall we say the slight resistance or apprehension from your family?
Yeah, the thing is, I don't think they would have, it's hard because at school, I don't know if you remember, they had, it was like a jobs fair or something.
Like
they used to come and
guidance.
Go, oh, what do you want to do? I was like, oh, I want to be, no, you're probably not going to get into that. And I was like, oh, I like art. They're like, well, there's not really anything to do. And I was like, well, I don't want to do anything else.
Yeah.
It's like, so I was kind of a bit stubborn. I'm a stubborn person, so I was like,
similar situation to me. My career is like, oh, you like creative stuff. Oh, how about an engineer? Well, I don't want to design a bridge.
Yeah,
it seems strange, but then I suppose they aren't trying to set the world up to be creatives, artists.
That's all.
And yeah. So who's the influence there then?
So hard. Like obviously we spoke. Well, I can't put my finger on to say it was any particular person thing. It's just I had a drive in me to just do great things, and I don't know what it is. Like no matter if it was at college, no matter if it was at school, I just had to do the best to get the best out. And
did you like being different as a kid?
I was quite a closed book. I wasn't that expressive in outside of kind of work, like the things I like to do. I wasn't like a crazy kid. Popular. I was just kind of blended in. I don't like the limelight.
Yeah, I know.
It's just one of them. I'm always quite in the background.
Well, when we put the microphones on, you said,
we're
not even filming.
It's just a weird feeling. I prefer to be in the background, and I don't know why, but probably where I do my best work.
Interesting.
Yeah, but in terms of somebody who's like, this person really maybe my granddad. When he came over here, he told me some of the stories. I was just like, wow, yeah, I can't just come here and be a bum when I know that
stories of what the things like that he's been through.
When they came over, and my grandma, when they came over, they said it was horrendous. And some of the things they tell you, and then we think we've got problems today. It's like, nah,
yeah,
I can't just be you know what I mean? I've got to make sure that what they went through I've got to make sure I made them proud, if that makes sense.
Did you feel like you had something to prove?
I feel like maybe growing up in a black household, you pretty much not get told. There's always that extra level you've got to do to get where you get.
Mm-hmm.
It's obvious. It's there. It's still there today. It's like me being a black man still needs to go through hurdles. I'd never use it as an excuse because I can use it to an advantage. But we still need to go through certain hurdles to get further in life. And I always just think like, fine.
That actually instilled more drive.
Yeah,
in you,
put the hurdles there. I'll jump them. It's not a problem.
I like that.
Yeah.
And but again, that's why I've always respected you so much, because you've got so much drive, so much determination. There doesn't seem to be many barriers that you can't seem to get past.
I just feel like I just need to win. I need to win. Like I don't know why, but it's just there. It's like I'm not just gonna fall back.
I don't think you need to know why necessarily. I just think it's inspiring to have that mentality. And I find it very interesting that you've got that mentality when you say that. I mean, you put it as you went right and your family were more left.
Yeah.
So it's still, I mean, I'm sat in front of you and I know you, but for the people listening, Dean is so like, training, everything. He's going to be all modest now, but like he's quite a unit and everything. And that's something that you talked about to me again about, your mother had 3 jobs. So there's a work ethic there. She was very strict with the Catholic thing, but your dad also was, he was instilled the gym and training from a very young age.
At a young age, my dad, I feel like it was about 13 years old, maybe a bit younger. He had the weights at home, the York dumbbells. Do you remember those?
Yeah, with a little cement
inside them. Like every day, me and my brother and my dad would be in the room just training biceps, triceps. And it was just from there, it was just, I guess that was a bit of, that's the discipline. Like you got to get it, you got to train. And from them, I just train. And I've just pretty much kept that in.
Why did Dad instill that in you, do you think? Did he tell you at the time? Did he just think you've got to be fit, you've got to be healthy, you've got to be strong?
I think my dad just probably liked training himself.
And it was a good choice.
And it was a good thing to do. So yeah, he was like, come on kids, let's get the dumbbells out. And me and my brother loved it. We just kept every day.
Yeah, and it shows. I'm sat here looking at him, he's got arms like my legs.
Nah, I used to be a bit more conditioned. But no, it was something that we'd done from a young age, and it pretty much stayed there.
So we've got the discipline, we've got work ethic from both sides of the family. You've got the want to prove yourself from the stories that you heard of what your grandparents went through.
Mm-hmm.
Talk to me about Northampton. What's Northampton like?
To be honest, there was like a close knit group of Caribbean people in Northampton. It wasn't massive amount of people there, but it was quite close knit. Like all the Jamaicans, or should I say, they were all pretty much together. But in terms of Northampton as a place growing up, it was fine. Yeah, it was just down the estate, playing down the estate. But it was cool growing up. But it's when I got over the age of 16, it was like, okay, then if I stay here,
mm-hmm.
I'm not going to amount to anything. Bad thing to say, but it just felt like that place kind of drains the soul out of people, man. I've seen so many people just like, why are you still in that environment? You've got so much opportunity to go somewhere else. And for me, I was like, I can't stay here.
Mm.
If I stay here, I'm never going to be able to achieve what I know I can achieve.
Yeah.
So getting the opportunity to leave and go to Birmingham, it was like, yep, let's go to Birmingham.
And that was the opportunity to get out of a town that drains. So that's a Dean Gordon. I didn't say it,
No, it's Northampton's wicked, man. It was a great place to grow up in terms of a lot of the stuff I learned and being around. But I just mean in terms of opportunity, that's probably the best thing. I feel like it's got worse though. And I don't know why. Like growing up there was still good people. The community was good. Like I said, it was quite close-knit community. So that was a good part of it. But coming out of Northampton and then going back to see what it was like, it just feels like that's all kind of disappeared. And people are literally just got no ambition. I don't know what it is.
Well, we could go into a whole thing about socioeconomic situations, but I don't think that's... But what I'm trying to get at is Northampton didn't fuel that creativity, inspire it, shall we say?
Not massively, but I still had that determination when I was there. It was still like, whatever happened, I still was like, okay, but I'm still going to make it, no matter what.
Before you came to uni, you did an art and design
I'd done
tech,
a BTEC in... what was it? BTEC, visual communication, something like that. Yeah. Can't remember what it was called.
And what did you need to get onto that course? Did you need a portfolio of work?
It was GCSEs. Okay. It was GCSEs, and I'd done fine in my GCSEs, got good grades, got into the course I wanted to do, got the top grade there.
On the BTEC?
On the BTEC.
And was this the time where you were like, okay, now I'm doing specific stuff, I can hone, and now really, I feel a bit more creative?
Yeah, because then from there, like, the teacher there was like, there's some universities you should go to. She tried to push me to go to Banbury.
Banbury? Why Banbury?
I don't know. I think they must have had some connection with the college there, but
the Middle England town.
It was terrible. Like... So I went to see, and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to fit in here at all. But I came to Birmingham. It was hustling, different cultures, people seemed cool. I was like,
and you got family in Birmingham as well?
Yeah, just small family here, cousins, auntie. That was it. Weren't many people, so pretty much on my own. Yeah.
How does that feel from someone? Presumably, you've got quite a large group of family and stuff.
Yeah,
around,
my family's huge. But here in Birmingham, I only had my auntie and my cousins.
So was this the first time you actually were stepping out alone, really?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Just like, but nice. I still, there was no fear because I just knew I'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'll make it regardless
if
people here or not. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So talk to me, university, like, for context, like, I've spoken to Wiz, right? And we were like, oh yeah, we probably messed about a bit too much and did a bit. Whereas, like, my memories of you at university, dude, was almost the opposite. You were so dedicated that we were, come on, Dean, we're going out. And you're like, no, I've got to finish this and I've got to. But hindsight's a wonderful superpower. I understand it now.
Yeah.
Because I look back at the work that you were doing.
Yeah.
And it was like now, like, it's almost like you can see that sort of style. But 20 years ago, people weren't doing the big vector illustrations, these crazy bits of graphic design that I was looking at and going, how on earth has he done that? Through my hangover while you're sat there fresh as a daisy.
I literally, back then, I was just so into just doing creative stuff. It's like the vector stuff. what people are doing now. I was doing it 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I was getting into magazines, computer art. Do you remember computer arts?
Computer arts magazine.
And they written like a whole.
Yeah, I've written that down. That's
a whole couple of pages on me as a young guy doing these crazy illustrations.
Which was mad for us at uni to go, oh my God, our mate's in a magazine and we've just sat here with hangovers.
It wasn't like, oh, I've got to stay in and do it. I just liked to do it. It's like, and I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Like the stuff has to be top quality, otherwise I'm not really going to be happy. So that's probably why I was like, no, I'm not happy with that. I'll just keep going.
And often you'd be in such a flow state that you'd get a 1 or 2 word answer out of you and you're like, well, see you in a bit, dude. Hope your project goes well.
Yeah. I don't know what it is, man. When I'm working and creating, that's probably when I'm at my best
flow state.
Yeah, man.
Which is what we're all looking for as creatives, isn't it? We're all trying to find that.
You've got to find that flow state, and I feel like when I'm working, that's when I'm in that state.
And as I say, like for you to be doing those things that you were doing at that time, I mean, have you still got any of them that we could maybe share in the show notes? Any of those illustrations and the computer art stuff? Because it's
I'll be able to dig it out.
And it's
somewhere.
so mad because now we'll probably see it and people will look at it and go, "Oh yeah, I've seen that before."
Yeah,
I was like, "You didn't see this 20 years ago."
It just wasn't around. But from college, there was a guy there called Tony Brindisi. He was like
Tony Brindisi.
Yeah,
that was actually his name.
Yeah, he was Italian.
Brindisi.
Yeah, he's an Italian guy. His family owned Mario's ice cream in Northampton, like one of the biggest. Okay. But yeah, he was like top quality, and I used to give me loads of tips. He used to show me how to do certain illustrations, stuff like that. And then when I came here, just studied David Carson. He was like kind of break the mold, wasn't he? Like, do you remember David Carson? I'm
going to be honest, dude. You're going to have to show some stuff.
I've got a book here. I'll show you.
That's fine. We can share some show references.
He just had that break the rules kind of thing in terms of the design. So it's like, yeah, man, this guy, he's just not normal. He's just like doing crazy stuff, and I just love it.
How did you feel then surrounded by peers doing a similar thing?
In terms of like,
you are so standalone and the perfectionist, and like you said with pride, I got the top grade in my BTEC and this, that, and the other. But now you're surrounded by other people that are presumably of a level, of some level, maybe not to the same level with that drive and things like that. But did that inspire you, or was that more of a competitive thing?
In terms of where I am now?
No, when we were at uni, which is your first introduction, really, to be surrounded by lots of other. There was
a little bit of competition, like I think I can beat most of these people. Obviously you got the kind of the kids or the people who are kind of teachers, pets, kind of. And I'm just like, don't worry, man. I'm gonna wipe the floor.
Yeah, and also, I mean, there was the people that played the system, didn't they? They read intricately what the marking criteria was and just went through it.
Exactly. So for me, I was like, I'll wipe the floor. The only problem it's a problem, but the only thing I wasn't great at, which kind of got my grade down in university as well. I'm not great at English in terms of writing. That kind of the dissertation was what brought my mark down, which was a bit annoying. But I'm just saying, like, English isn't my strong point. So it's like, I wouldn't necessarily write something like a dissertation very well.
I think that was hard for a lot of people doing those courses, because we're all quite visual based people, and they're asking us to write essays about our visual. And it was
just like, and it just didn't sit well with me. It's like, this is not what I like.
We know full well that most of the time when you come out of university of creative, no one's going to ask you what you got as a degree anyway. So, can I read your dissertation?
I don't think.
I've never, ever once been asked what I got at university.
Well, no, never. But in terms of like jobs and stuff I went for, I knew I had the quality to do the work, but no one would employ me.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about that. The leap from coming out of university to going into the creatives. I mean, what were you doing? You went graphic design jobs, looking every other firm?
Exactly. You do the normal thing. Okay, I've come out of uni, I need to get a job. So I went to quite a few, searched graphic jobs, went for a few interviews, not many, because after a while I was like, this ain't for me anyway. So I went for a few interviews, didn't even get a call back, nothing. And I was like, well, I know it's definitely not my quality of work, because it's second to none. No one could take that away to say, its quality of work's bad. But obviously there was other things which obviously they didn't like. So from that point of view, I was like, I don't really want to be going into interviews and sitting down in a suit and trousers doing designing shit. Basically.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'll see what cool creative stuff's out there. So I started freelancing. because as you do, you're like, well, no one employed me. I've got to start doing some stuff on my own. So I started freelancing, doing just like flyer artwork for clubs and stuff like that. But obviously the quality was very high at that point. So I used to get a lot of people, who's done this? And it just used to build up from there.
And there's a specific thing I want to talk about from your freelance career.
Yes.
Which is when you went and did freelance work for a company called Fluid.
Yes.
Now, next thing you know, my mate suddenly got, I've just designed the Resident Evil cover.
Yeah.
I've just designed a FIFA cover.
Yeah,
I'm on gaming magazines.
Yeah, that was interesting.
But you're being paid £80 a day.
Yeah, man, it was terrible. Well, I can't say it was terrible because it was money back then. It was like, at least I'm earning something.
But what I'm trying to say is giving people the context is that you're a freelancer working for £80 a day. You're generating PlayStation contracts for a design agency through your amazing designs and your covers and everything on international games. Yet you're being paid £80 a day. It's just
I think that's where it showed me that I've definitely got what it takes to do and make it big, because I was getting these briefs. Okay, Resident Evil, we need to design a zombie kind of landscape. Easy. And probably that's why they took me on. They were like, this guy, he pretty much can get the conceptual stuff just like that. Harry Potter stuff, I was doing crazy visuals. Stuff what AI is doing now, I was doing back then just with Photoshop. Yeah. So it was like, wow, this guy's got something. I remember all the gaming covers. I've still got the CDs with all the artwork on at home. I probably should have done another. But and then it was just like, this stuff, this can really be something. There was a guy there called Johnny, still really good friends with Johnny Costello. He was top of the game then. He's still very good in the industry now. And he taught me a few skills. He was like, this is kind of how he works, and he was deep in the design stuff. In
terms of the creative, or now you're starting to pay a bit more attention to the business?
It's more the creative. Yeah. He was. I like people who can inspire me. I don't always want to be the best person because I need to grow myself. So you can't always be the top, because then you're just.
If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Exactly. But Johnny, he had this kind of. He was just like crazy designs, man. And he's an Irish guy, so he's got the thick accent, man. He's a top quality guy. So that was a good experience, but it come to a point where £80. The thing is, I wasn't even there every day, so I was doing only 2 days.
Oh God!
Exactly, so 160.
Dare I even ask what's the other bits of design work that you're doing at this point? Because it's probably not glamorous. It's probably not exciting, is it?
Where is that at Fluid? You mean?
Well, as a freelancer.
As a freelancer, it was just like you could be designing a flyer for a food shop. You could be designing something for an event at Gatecrasher. You could be. It's pretty cool because you got to do like creative stuff, but it wasn't like fantastically inspiring.
What's the catalyst then for you to go, right, this freelance thing, it's all very well, but you've got the skill set to essentially do all of this on your own. Is there a moment where you go, right, here's the epiphany moment. Yeah. I'm going to stop working for all these other people and try and do my own.
100%. Because I just knew I had the skill to do it. I was like, well, if I'm kind of winning contracts and these guys are using my designs to take to meetings and proposals for companies, and they're using I'm like, well, I've definitely got it in me to do it myself. Obviously, I didn't know the other side to the business, and I just thought I can just be a designer and make money. But then, when I did eventually go, you know what, I'm going to take the jump to do that. I did it. Started freelance on my own without Fluid. Started picking up a lot of contracts. I guess my artwork was, like I said, it was pretty much, okay, who was this guy doing all this artwork? And all the clubs around Birmingham, from the Gatecrashers to Studebakers, all those, they were people using my design.
And because I remember when you went freelance, when you started your own sort of, was that Garvey?
So Garvey Designs,
Garvey Design, and that was with Devon and...
Yeah, with my good friends Devon and Dwayne. Yeah, it was an idea, because they're designers as well, and it was like, why don't we just do it together? And it was fine for a while.
What was that was quite a lot of the work, wasn't it? Club, nights, promotions,
booklets. We did get into a bit more of like a corporate stuff as well. Like printing like books and stuff for, I don't know.
Yeah, AGM meetings.
It's kind of basic.
The bread
stuff.
And butter stuff that you have.
Bread and butter, which was fine, but it wasn't very inspiring.
Yeah, fine. I mean? no one was fine.
But we'd done that for a couple of years, which was fine, but they still lived in Northampton, and I was in Birmingham. So eventually it kind of broke down that for them to travel. And back then it wasn't.
No Zoom.
There's no Zoom. There's no Teams.
For context, people, we are old.
Yeah. Google Meets and stuff like that. So it was hard to work consistently together and kind of aligned. So it kind of broke down. Obviously, they're still
Just quite naturally.
there's no like, oh my God, going our separate ways. And that. It was just like, okay, you're going to do your stuff in Northampton. I'm going to keep on doing my stuff in Birmingham. So I didn't keep the name. I was like, okay, then I need to think of a new name. Mm-hmm. Obviously, starting a new business. And that's where Media Beast came into the picture.
But we're talking now sort of like, what, 2010? So, 6, 7 years after uni? Yeah. Which is still quite fast, really, for someone.
It is, yeah. It's very fast, to be honest. But I kind of had no choice.
You had no choice, but also your personality probably wouldn't allow it. You're not going to stop and rest on your laurels.
No way. And I had bills to pay as well. Yeah. I couldn't do it with money.
We've all got bills. So you started Media Beast. What was your mentality then? It's like, right, I'm going it alone. What's Media Beast going to be? Just an extension of Garvey, a similar thing?
So did you have a bigger plan? It was mainly design, because that was my background. So I could design from magazines, booklets, billboards, just anything design based. And that's kind of where I started and carried on for a while. But coming here, I had no real connections. So there was like a print place. So I was like, I'll just go in there and see if they've got any stuff they need doing. So I met a guy called Paul, Mr. Jukes, really good guy. Went in there and said, I'm Dean. I'm the best designer out there. Give me some stuff to do.
Is that literally what you said to him?
Yeah, why not? This is actually, I know. I think I went there with a portfolio. I think I did.
Did you actually?
I was like, yeah, here's all my designs and stuff. And they were like, okay, yeah, just got something. And they just gave me a load of design stuff to do, and I'd just smash it out of the park.
So at this point, you've done Garvey, you're doing Media Beast. Yeah. Where's the... I mean, I've done a business course. I mean, none of us do that. When we start, we've all gone self-employed, and none of us know what we're doing. But it's like trying to emphasize that to the listeners that you're not understanding much of the business side right now. You're just taking it in and going...
Absolutely winging it.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
But that's kind of how wet behind the ears we were when we came out of uni, because no one teaches you how to, look at your ideas and how to expand your ideas. But how to run a business is a very different entity.
And it was just like, okay. So then after that, I was like, okay, then I need to start thinking about how this works. So then, started invoicing, kind of got the hang of it. Invoice, get paid after a certain period of time into your bank, do your self-assessments, all that kind of nonsense. So it's like, I don't really like this.
Hard.
But it's something that has to be done. But you kind of have to just learn on your feet. Yeah,
it's just a learning curve for us all, isn't it? And pretending that you know it all is almost a silly thing to do, because you'll trip yourself up. No,
I still don't know. I'm like,
definitely not.
Still winging it.
And how long have we been at 20 years in business?
We're still winging it. Yeah. Obviously, you've got certain things in place and staff members in place and stuff, but half the time it's just me with the same drive and determination to make things happen. That's it.
That's what. Well,
keep it moving.
And that's you and I both. If you haven't got that drive and determination, it ain't going to work. It ain't going to work. So Media Beast, you're doing similar. It's like print, design, branding.
It was mainly print and design then. It was a very big thing back then. Obviously, certain print qualities. Like I was really into the.
Oh man, I remember you telling me all about.
Papers,
business cards, and you can have a laminate finish.
Man.
And there's
spot UV, all this stuff. Yeah,
exactly.
I love it. But like, even though I used to travel, like go on a train and stuff, and I used to see magazines, pick them, look at the texture. That's just what it was. I used to love it.
So talk to me about the evolution of Media Beast then, because you did go from doing lots of sort of print, design, branding, but then you started branching out of maybe 2014 into the more tech and building some of the tech.
It was about 2012, to be fair. It's about 2 years after just doing the simple branding stuff.
Well, we're in heat of the 2012. That's heat of the smartphone coming in, isn't it? So
it's kind of like I was designing. I don't even remember what the first website was, but what it was at the time, I just designed, and they had someone who could build it.
Right. So
I designed it, and I was, this is pretty smart. And they were like, wow, how did you design this? Because I guess what they had was just very basic. I was like, okay, I think I quite like this. So I started designing more websites, and then I was like, I wonder how to get into the build side of it. I really want to learn a bit more about this. So I started to do bits and bobs. I wasn't great at that side of things at the time. And then I think I got a contract through a company called Bopperin. I think it's a charity here or something.
Okay.
And I'd done the logo branding for them. And then there was a web design. I'd done it. And then the guy built it. His name, Curio,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and I was speaking to him. I was like, oh, okay. Then he's like, what do you do? I said, I do all the design, I design websites and stuff. And he was a coder at the time. Young guy, he was like, must have been like 16, 17 years old at the time. But he was like ahead of the game in terms of coding and stuff. So I was like, oh, okay. And then from the designs I was doing, people were like, this guy's got the quality as I knew I had. And I don't know if it was through yourself, but your friend, I done a design, designed her website, Rebecca Francis.
Yeah.
So, and then Curio built it.
Yeah.
I thought, okay, this is getting a bit.
Shout out Becky. Becky's a makeup artist.
Yeah, brilliant. But yeah, she it was just like getting a hang of this tech stuff.
And it's making me smile a little bit because I'm going back to you tinkering with motorbikes, and suddenly it's like, oh, the motorbike tinkering. He's designed it.
Yeah,
you know.
So yeah, it's like you design a system. You do the planning, then you design, and it was just that process. I love it. That could be a very important thing. I like the process of doing stuff as well. I don't just like the end result. It's like, okay, then I can design it, build it, and then you see it kind of come into light, how it's starting to work.
That full journey.
All the flaws, all the things, what we can fix and stuff like that. And from then, when we designed that and put it out there, we just started getting loads of, I guess, word of mouth travels fast because we didn't advertise. I've never advertised anything. So people like, how do you get work? I guess people can tell their friends. And it's like, got another website, and then the difference in money was quite dramatic from designing a book or something to designing a website. So I'm like, okay, then I've got something here. And that was it.
And it crosses that technologically, that how things work, but also that creative end that, you know, visually it's got to look amazing, but it's still got to work. And I think that's quite, as I say, knowing now, going back a little bit to your young mechanics and the motorbikes and the tinkering and maybe taking things apart and seeing how it's worked, but rebuilding as well.
Yeah, man, it's just something I love doing. And I think with the perfection thing, I'm saying it's just, even though it has to work, it still has, for me, it has to look good. And that's why I feel like I get a lot of repeat business and people kind of see me, because I'm not just all about functionality. I do like to make things look top spec, everything I do.
And the business then, as you say, naturally just grows, and presumably are you taking on freelancers, or are you employing people, or you...
At that point, I didn't take anyone on as like payroll, but I had a lot of freelancers around me who I could lean on to do certain things to make it happen. So if I'm doing the design and Curio's doing the build, and then someone else would do a different part of it, then started to build it yourself. Matt, I need photography. Can you do this for me? Yep, no problem. Got that bit covered. Illustrations, potentially go to other Matt or someone, bring that into a web design, bring that into a magazine. So I kind of used the people around me, mainly friends actually, to be honest, to kind of just make it work. And it's just kept growing from there.
So then, what are your goals and aspirations at this point? Not now, don't look at me like now, because I mean, that's a whole other podcast. But like, when you're doing Media Beast, are you, what are you thinking? Because 2010, let's think, you had your first child not long after that. So is it head down, make this work, get as much work as you can, pay bills? Or are you thinking... No.
Bailey 2012, and it was just, because things were going quite well, I didn't really look too much further outside of that. It was just like, this is going good, man. I like it. Business is good. Didn't really have many struggles at that point. So I didn't think, now I'm going to go and grow a massive digital agency or anything. It was just like, yeah, man, just keep it going, keep it moving. Obviously, I was always still creating, designing things, thinking what else I can do, but I wasn't thinking, I'm going to make this next big thing.
And I suppose when you are getting so much work, it's very difficult to come out of that sometimes, because I've got so much work to do. I can't think about the next thing because I've got so much work to do.
Pretty much, that's just how my life's always been. I've got so much work to do, it's good, but it does have its drawbacks. But yeah, it's pretty much that was the case. Got so much work to do. It keeps coming in. No one's complaining at the moment. Crack on.
Have they ever complained? Go on then.
It's quite funny because in all the time I've been doing this, I haven't had that many complaints. There might be one or two things where things have gone.
And when I say complaints, they're probably more like redos, or can you just adjust that? Or can you just adjust that? It's not like, I'm disgusted with this design you've done with it.
A lot of the time, though, I've not taught people around, because it's like they want to change something for the sake of them changing it rather than how it should be. I can talk people out and say, no, this is how it needs to be to work for this week. So you do get obviously changes, but I've never had anything like, the hell is this? This is terrible. I want my money back, all that kind of stuff. It's never happened.
No. And is that a skill set you've learned? Because you said you were quite an introverted child, and obviously, like, to sort of persuade someone out of an idea when they persuade someone
Probably
out of
persuade, yeah.
It's not persuade, but do you know what I mean? But to just have that, for some people I meet who are creatives, they are very introverted, and putting them in a room and trying to tell someone that doesn't like your design, they'd be heartbroken, rather than going, well, actually, this is how it should be because of X, Y, Z, and this is because of the knowledge that I've gained.
Yeah. I think it's a case of, I was quite I wouldn't say introvert. I just wasn't didn't want to be the head of attention in anything. Like, you have friends and stuff who need to be at the front, the forefront. That just wasn't me. I'll be fine just at the back. But I think, as a lot of people say to me, I'm not a comfortable speaker at all. Hate it, passion. That's probably one of my fears. But people will say, but Dean, when you're talking about stuff you're fine. You just fly through it. I'm like, really? But apparently so. So that's probably where I got the confidence from. When I'm actually speaking about something I enjoy or I know a lot about, I'm fine. In most things I design, there's a reason why I've done it that way.
Yeah.
And I can usually put it across to why I've done it that way.
Yeah.
But you get people who are like, no, I want it this way.
Yeah, of course.
No problem. You're paying the money. Do it how you want it. Do you know what I mean?
So that's 2014 and Media Beast. You then start branching out into ticketing and
that's
this separate business. Where did that come from?
Again, me and my friend Curio, we was just like, why don't we create something ourselves? Because we were always doing it for other people, which is like, okay, just how business is. But we was like, why don't we create something cool? So we were like,
what does that look like then?
Curio, he's a music producer, so he loved his music and stuff like that. And then I was very much when I was doing my designs, it was for a lot of the clubs, nightlife, all around Birmingham, some in London, some in different parts, but it was mainly Birmingham. So I was like, okay, then why don't we try like a ticketing solution for music events in and around Birmingham? It's like, okay, let's give it a go. Alongside of us doing our normal day-to-day stuff, because even though me and Kieran worked together, we were still our own. I was a freelancer, he was a freelancer. And so then we was like, okay, let's try. So I just done all the design work, branded the company, put all the designs together. Kieran built it, put it out there to test. And because we know people just started using it. And we sat back and thought, hold on a minute, what have we created here? Because we've created a system where, in theory, once it's built, we don't really need to do anything. Makes money.
Ideal.
Well, yeah, because you're thinking...
That's the dream.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Can you make me something like that?
Oh, mate. Yeah, well, it's not as simple as that.
Yeah.
But that's how we thought. It was like, okay, we've built a system, people use it, money comes in, more people use it, get more money. And we don't physically have to do anything to make the money, apart from get people...
So just for reference, you built a platform, essentially.
Yeah, it was a ticketing platform. I'd say basic. It was just a ticketing platform to sell tickets for promoters. That was it. Nothing too crazy. There was no anything spectacular. It was just like, sell your tickets. Because we were quite advanced in tech and we kind of were a little ahead of the game. We were doing the QR code before anyone was doing it. We was doing the scanning of tickets before most people were doing it. Obviously there was big companies who were doing it, but in terms of people in and around us, like competitors, there was no one really doing it how we were doing it. But obviously we were still very small compared to most people, but it was something we built and we thought this could have legs.
And then what are your competitors at that point? Because there was a few that suddenly sprung up around that sort of time.
Like there was the ticket sellers was pretty much the only one in the Midlands.
That's it. And they do everything from concerts to nights to...
So they were kind of the front runners. There were other companies around, but they weren't really at the forefront at that time. I just felt like because we had so many connections, we in Midlands and London, because obviously Kieran with his music side, we just thought we could actually make some, and we did. It was running, it was a business, and it was making profit. So it was like, keep it going. And we had new ideas, what we wanted to bring into it. Okay, maybe we should venture out into different categories.
Are you still a part of Ticket List? Or?
No, that dissolved. No, well.
You're saying it with a smile. I feel like there's a story behind this.
Not really a story. Me and Kieran kind of brought more people on board as you do in business. And it was still going fine for a while. And then partners had disagreements. Certain people wanted to take it in one way. So the thing is with business is like, when you're small knit business, it's like, oh, it's only just me and Kieran. It's not really much. We can talk it out and it's fine. But then when you start getting more people involved, more parties, at the time, it's like, yeah, this is a great idea. Let's all have equal shares and all this. And it was like, okay, cool. But then when things started to get, okay, then I want to take it this way. And are we going to do this in the business? I'm like, well, I don't want to do this in the business. And then Kieran's like,
too many cooks.
Wait, probably too early. Obviously, you need people in business. It was too early. So we had some disagreements. And I was just like, do you know what? I don't really want to be a part of this anymore. Mm-hmm. So I was like, Kieran, you just take everything I have in this. I just walked away with nothing.
How did that feel?
I don't know. I wouldn't say I was angry, but I was just like, I just needed it gone.
Yeah.
Because it was just, at the time, it was causing a lot of friction. And then when it was gone, it was actually a bit of like, okay, still got Media Beast.
Yeah.
That's still making money.
Yeah, that's to say, you're still running
and I'm
alongside
just
all
like,
the work.
I know I can do it again. I can do this again, no problem.
So Ticket List sort of did its own thing.
Yeah.
You walked away from that.
Yeah.
Go back to Media Beast.
Yeah.
And in 2017, this becomes quite a pivotal year. Not only was your second child born, but I'm going to let you talk about it, but quite a pivotal trip, right?
Yes. Crazy. It's a bit of a mad story, to be fair. It's a pivotal trip, more than I could even imagine, to be honest. So February 2017, I went to Brazil with my friends who I had Garvey with. So that's Devon, Dwayne, and my other friend Ashley. So we went to Brazil Carnival. Oh my God, it was an amazing, it was just such a different experience. At the time, my friend was like, oh yeah, I booked all where we're staying. And he was like, yeah, the first week we're staying in a hostel. And I was like, doing what, sorry? Yeah, we're staying in a hostel in Lapa in Central Rio. And I was thinking, a hostel in Lapa, Brazil. And obviously people have always, oh, you got to be careful, Brazil, very dangerous. I was thinking, shit, I don't know about this. So yeah, took a trip to Brazil, landed in Brazil, got a taxi to Lapa, and the taxi guy just dropped us in the middle of Lapa, and it was carnival period. So there was thousands of people, and there's us four, massive suitcases in the middle of Brazil, coats on, and everyone else is just tops off, vests. And we were like, oh my God, we're standing out like a sore thumb here. And we didn't know how to get to where we need to get to. People looking at us like, what the hell's probably going on? But they actually obviously weren't. They were just like parties, people drinking, lots of fun. So then we get to the hostel. It was actually all right. There was a lot of people from different, like America, different places. So it was good to go there actually, because we got a real sense of carnival community.
And a melting pot of people.
And this is where the story kind of starts with how all the things create. So when we got there was a guy we met from, I want to say San Francisco, and he was like, oh, what are you guys doing? And we're like, obviously we didn't know. We're just going to go to the carnival, some of the beaches, He's like, no. And he gave us this list, and he goes, you need to go to these blocos. I don't know, bloco? What's a bloco? What does this mean? It's like, basically, in and around Rio, there's these kind of things called blocos, and they're like parties in different areas of Rio. Just on a corner, there could be like 1 million people just partying on this bloco. But there's loads of different types and different ones around the city. And I was like, that's crazy. So we were like, okay, cool. We'll go to some of these blocos. So we went to one, and it was just out of this world. It was like all different types of people. You had young, old, black, white. It was just different communities, different types of people, all in this one this place, just having the best time ever. Like there was no, when you go to some places, there's a bit like, oh, I don't know about, a bit edgy. I'm not sure about these people. There was none of that. Most of the people didn't even speak English, but somehow the connection there was just unbelievable.
You're communicating on a vibe, right?
The vibe was, till this day, I haven't been anywhere what has matched Brazil, in my opinion. So for me, Brazil is probably the best place I've ever been to on a holiday. But yeah, the energy was just crazy. So after the first one, we was like, we just got to go and see them all. And they were all just so different, but brought the same energy.
Have you got one that stands out to you? A real one of the Bloco parties that you just think?
Yeah, there was one on the Copacabana beach. So the beach on the carnival day, there's I think like 2 million people transcend on the beach. It's a bit nuts, to be fair. It's a bit nuts. There were a couple of scare points where not anything like trouble wise, but because there were so many people, it was like, oh my God, can I breathe? And it's hot. There was one at the end of that road, like the long road, Copacabana Beach, and then there was one at the end of the road, and it was just, I can't even explain it. The energy, the vibe, and it was just from day to night, and you wouldn't even realise. And everyone was just on a vibe all the way through. Met people from all walks of life. It was just, you just have to be there. It's insane. You had to be there, and I was just like, wow. I can't really put any other words to say that they were amazing times, unforgettable.
And I've seen what that trip to Brazil sort of has led to.
Yes.
Since 2017. And that's not just like, oh yeah, we should go back to Brazil sometimes. No. It really, really inspired you, didn't it?
Yeah. So
can you talk me through a little about like what's in your head at this point? I mean,
do you know what? At the time, it was just like, I come back from that. It was just like, Brazil's crazy. Yeah. It's like the best thing ever. Like, I need to go back. Me and the guys created another group. When are we going back? 2020, whatever it was, the dates were. And I've never thought anything of it at the time. So I was like, Brazil. But then it was like, cool, back to work.
Back to reality.
And then obviously, I think it was about a year or so after that is when Ticket List because I was still at Ticket List at that time. So that's why the Brazil thing didn't really, there's no context yet. And then I think it was 2018, was it 2019, about a year or two after when I left. I was like, okay then, I want to do something again in ticketing, but I wanted to create something which has meaningful connections, not just a ticketing site. I want to create something which actually means something. It brings people together. It creates a purpose. And all I could think of was my trip to Brazil. I was like, that place had all of that in abundance. It was like, what could I do which had that kind of connection with that culture, that energy? It was just the colour. It sounds weird, but just the colours, like the vibrancy there was crazy. So I was like, oh, what can I call this? This new business I want to create, what could I call it? And it was like, Blocos. It just came to my head like, that's the place where I had the energy, it had the fun, it had the meaningful connections, it brought energy to myself, to other people around me. So I'm like, that is the name I'm call my next company. And then because I knew the ticketing and I knew that events were created to kind of bring people together to have good time and stuff, it all started from there. I was like, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create an events company where the promoters who create the events are building them for more than just going to a party. It was about creating those connections. It was everybody's invited. There's no kind of discrimination. It was just like, this is what it is. And that's where it all started.
So then what do you do? I mean, I know you say like, I mean, you've got the idea.
Yeah. So then it's like, okay, where do I start? Yeah. So me being me, I love branding. So branding, got really excited about that because it's like, this is going to be energy. It's going to be cool colors, crazy. So I created the brand Bloco, and then I planned out what I'm going to do in terms of how I'm going to build this out. So,
can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Because I'm trying to narrow down on what Bloco is, and because it is more than
a name. It's like,
and it's more than a ticketing platform.
Yeah. So this is it will come in what I'm explaining. So creating the platform was kind of the easy part because it's like, I know it, I've done it before, I know it can work, but I can do it different. So I was like, okay, then I've got to bring that meaningful why Blocos are so powerful. And it was it was about getting people to come together for a cause where there's no discrimination. It's creating kind of communities within itself, like the Blocos were. It's kind of, okay, you can create these communities and it's something what someone can look forward to being a part of. And I still think that was missing. Like events had a bit of a disconnect between promoters, customers. It's like, yeah, want people to buy tickets, but they don't really care about the after. They don't really care about the community side of things. It's just, do the event and then thanks. See you later. Well, I thought, no, I want to create it where it's creating something what's going to grow. You want to be a part of it. You want to come on this journey with me. Like, this is my event. I'm creating this brand. Would you come on the journey? And that's what I did. created it, and people really bought into Bloco being more than just an events platform. So,
what's different about Bloco that encourages people to become part of that community? I mean, you described it to me as you wanted to create something that brings people together and a platform for greatness.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
So, yeah, because there's two sides. Well, there's kind of 2 or 3 sides to this business, and it's like you've got the people who host the events, promoters, and then you've got the customers, and then obviously there's me as the business at the top. But what I didn't want to happen, or what always happened, was people would create events, sell tickets, and then there's nothing. It's just like, thanks for your money. The event's on this day. I'll see you then. I was like, is that really creating a community? Is it really creating anything positive?
An event that people are really going to go, oh my God, they sent me a really nice something.
Exactly.
To say thanks for coming to the event.
Exactly. So, and then what happens usually with events is promoters put the event on, people buy the tickets, they go to the event, great. But then what? What have you done with all these people? They're like your fans, your supporters. Why are they not now feeling like they're part of something? Build a community for them. Build a place where they can feel like they're part of something. Give them stuff. Make them feel like, okay, then I'm going to go to the next event because I feel like I want to go on this journey with whoever the promoter is, and build the brand together. And I just don't think that that's out there still. And this is where we're building our platform to be. It kind of switched from just being about tickets and events to being about, okay, then how do we help build brands, build communities within this ecosystem of Bloco?
And going back to that framework of the Blockers, where it was the melting pot of diversity, people, everyone having a good time.
Everyone having a good time. But it was, as you could say, it was more than just the turn up there, have fun and disappear.
Yeah.
There was other Bloco, there was other things, other communities, and you was welcoming anyone. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, then I can go to this one. Oh, you coming to my block? Do you know what I'm saying? It was just like, and that idea just stuck with me. Like, no, I can create something here where people feel they can be a part of these communities and help, I guess, go on the journey with the promoter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And I suppose that, we're saying promoter in terms of like club nights and things like that, but really it's any sort of
how in theory now it's brand, isn't it? Everyone's a brand.
Yeah, we're all a brand.
So it's like, instead of, I use the word promoter because it's kind of a term that most people understand, but it's like, okay, it's brands, isn't it? Building brands, and people want to be a part of it. They want to go on the journey with that brand. They want to build within that.
So that could be applicable. Okay, should we case study this? How could that be applicable for, say, Creative Nowhere Land, the podcast, what I'm doing? What would that look like?
For instance, you create your own platform on Bloco, yeah? You want people to be a part of what you're doing, whether it's events, because events is still a big part of it. We've got to get that in there. We're not diverting away from events, but you as a brand can say, okay, then this is where we have events for my fans, call it. We have events, we have meetups, I sell merch here. Okay. You can communicate with my people. We can all create something together. Do you know what I mean?
All in
one place, rather than having to go to all the different platforms to pull people in. So
essentially it's like having a Squarespace, a MailChimp,
you got to think about the level of entry here, because a lot of those platforms, they're not that simple for people to be able to get on board. As simple as I say it is, Squarespace and stuff, yeah, they're big companies, but it's not simple. I'm trying to simplify it all where people feel they can go on, low bar of entry, create something. You could be a small chess playing team and you've got like 5, 6 different people, but that's going to grow because you're building this community, and we're here to help you on that way to
right.
We're not trying to just take the big people we're trying to cultivate the creative, the people who kind of go unseen, to create them into big brands.
And this is a naive question, but how do you do that for a chess group of 5?
I think you just give them the tools to do so.
Right.
And without trying to basically rip people off. Always about getting all the money straight. It's like, okay, then we know that you've got to think of all the people who are big now. They all started somewhere.
Yeah.
And I feel like giving them the tool and the platform to be able to play on the field with everybody else is important. especially at a young age as well. This platform, I want my daughter to be able to go on there and create something and build a community, even if it was at her school. Mm-hmm. I'm creating a community for girls who want to do this, and it just grows because it's within this hub of people, and it's all the people who are doing stuff that you like to do.
Yeah, it's that, I suppose, a more authentic community than say some of the social media, which feels a bit like...
Community is everything. I think people get lost in social media because it's kind of fake, isn't it?
Mm. And also it gives people these strange metrics of, oh, this person's liked my thing and this many people have liked my thing and I've got this many followers. But my argument is always, if you could have 100,000 followers, but if they're not engaging and they're not interacting with you, or they're not buying your product, or they're not wishing you well on the way, I'd rather have 1,000.
Of course you would.
Well, what's the 1,000 true fans? That's
for us. It's about renaming this structure. Like, not everyone's a user, or not everyone's because these words are a bit like they don't give people that sense of community.
Well, I'm just a follower.
So no, you're a fan, or you want to be a part of our community. It's giving people that feel that they're a part of something, no matter where you are, what stage you are in your life. Do you know what I mean?
And I feel like you say that is a platform that can span chess, art, everything, music, club nights.
It's the same thing as what I was saying. It's that pool of, in Brazil, it was just so many different people. You'd have the old couple there. You'd have the young guys. You'd have the people from the favelas. And it was just all in one place, and no one turned their nose up at anything. No one thought they were better than anyone. It was just like, wow.
God, that sounds like such a nice life.
No, but it literally was. I can't explain it. Like, you'd have to go there to experience what I'm saying. And never once when I was there did I ever feel in danger. Never once. Because obviously people say, oh, you go to Brazil. Which probably is in some places. But when I went there, that is the feeling I got. I want other people to be able to feel that they want to go back somewhere. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Yeah. Sorry to get a bit deep.
No. No, but I think it's important because that's essentially we're told so much about what's your reason why.
Yeah.
Well, that's a fucking great reason why. You want people to come together and actually have a platform that they can achieve what they really want to do.
I just feel like we're actually disconnected currently with all this online. It's like we're taking it away, whereas with Bloco, we still can do stuff digitally. But then there's the tools there to do stuff in person.
Yeah, let's have a meetup. Let's 5 of us get together and play chess. Exactly. Let's go to that club night. Matt's doing a live podcast. Exactly. Let's go and sit and listen to that.
But because you're part of part of the platform, you will be always notified. You will get your updates. I'd like people to be able to send people stuff like in the post. This is the new stuff we're doing within our little community.
So it's essentially that sort of thing. It is that sort of like, it's a social media, it's a newsletter, it's a website, it's a CRM,
but it's super simplified because things are always overcomplicated, and you've got to simplify it
for the user. You mean? I was going to say, because that sounds immensely complicated for you guys.
No. For me, it's hard. yeah. On the daily stresses, but for what my vision and where I know I can take it, it has to happen that way.
What's the balance between Bloco and Beast now? Because you are the media beast, so there's always going to be people coming and going, oh, Dean, I need a new website. And then there's always like, what does that then blend into Bloco, where you go, well, on this new platform, you can have your own website. Well,
that is starting to kind of happen in terms of, okay, then there's some people or some clients that are coming in where the things they need actually could be suited more to Bloco because all the tools are there to do that. Rather than me keep reinventing the wheel and just keep building websites. It's like, well, to be honest, you could probably do this route, have a lot more going on and spend a lot less than just building a massive website.
And I see that. I mean, with you as my close friend, I'm sorry, I'm still a Squarespace user, but I also see how they're trying to integrate newsletters, emails, merchandise all into that one Squarespace platform. So it's like, again, you're a little bit...
Yeah, but what it is they're not really doing anything community based.
No, not at all.
It's more just build a website. It can look like this. It can look like that. It's
this is another avenue that you can get some t-shirts printed.
That's all well and good, but the meaning stuff, for me, the meaningful stuff is a bit more, and for where I'm trying to go, this needs to be able to be picked up and dropped anywhere in the world. So I don't want a barrier to entry. That's the main thing. If you're in I don't know, if you're in Brazil. As an example, and you've got your store or whatever, even as long as you've got internet, I want you to be able to utilize Bloco to do whatever you need to do, no matter how big the mouse. That's my goal. So anyway, even like the young kids in school who have no direction at the moment, they might want to do I don't know, like a nightlife, or they might want to do an event. They've got 50 people. I want them to be able to go on there, create their brand, make them feel like, yeah, I'm doing something. Because then it gives them something to do, for one, and it's just making it known that I can actually build something if the tools are there to do it. Level playing field.
So where are you on that? As I say, going back to my original question, what is the balance between Beast and Bloco?
So with Beast now, I've got staff. So they manage projects which we've kind of had ongoing for a while. For me, it's still a business which I run, but my soul and the energy and the excitement when I wake up in the morning about Bloco. So that kind of says it all. Not saying that anything, I'm still going to have that business because it's a good business and it's been around for a long period of time, but I know that Bloco will be the life changing. And
you see a time when presumably Beast will just naturally blend into Bloco, presumably. Potentially. Because even the people coming to you, like you say, going, oh, and in your website, you go, well, we've got this platform, you can do it all.
It's exactly that, because it has different tools and different systems for things which most people don't need to be forking out for a website. You can just do it on the platform. Monthly subscription. It's going to be better for you. Lower risk.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that sounds fantastic, as I say, for artists, creatives, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, musicians, whatever that. I think it's...
The thing is, I know a lot of people in a lot of different spaces. And I feel like there's just a disconnect in so many different things. And I just feel like this could potentially just connect everything together. Whether you're a corporate who's doing corporate events, whether you're someone who's doing nightlife, whether it's sporting, I still feel like they should have the tools to be able to create what you need to create at any level. Do you know what I mean?
And where Bloco is as we're recording today, who's on it? Who's using it? Where is it?
At the moment, because obviously what I'm saying is very big. It's a very big mission. It's not like...
Oh, and it's definitely...
It's not like, everything's there now and you can just go on and do it all.
It's constantly evolving.
It's a plan. It's where my direction is where I'm going. So at the moment, we do have a lot of great clientele on there. We have great people using the platform. It's still a bit nightlife. It's nightlife based because that's where it started. So a lot of the people who use it are on nightlife. Mm-hmm. But we have a lot of white label users.
What do you mean by that, white label users?
So white label users is, like I was saying to you earlier, is we're not trying to take all the limelight as Bloco. We're here to help you kind of grow as a... Mm-hmm. So with a white label service, you could come with any of your brands, Matt Wilson, Photo, whatever, and it will be branded as your platform.
Right.
We're the engine who help you drive. Yeah. So everything can be branded as Matt Wilson Photo or whatever. That's your brand. So the tickets you send out is all branded as you. Because you're going to remember, you want to build your brand. You want people to see grow with you, not just grow with Bloco. We grow together. Because you've got to remember, a lot of these other platforms, they're very big platforms, but people who use them, they're just going to get lost. Because it's like, oh, where's your event on? Oh, it's on this event platform. Here's the link. Okay. Why shouldn't it be your brand?
Yeah.
Your link.
Your link. Everything about your brand on your page, on your website.
About you, not just about there's a link for block, and then it disappears and you've gone in the mist and you're not going to get found. Because you've got to compete. You've got to compete against a million other people on that platform to sell tickets or whatever you're doing. Whereas if you're building your brand, you want it to be you.
Ooh, yeah.
We'll help you on the way. We'll go with you. We'll help you grow the pie.
Can you talk more on that? How do you help people on that journey?
So our platform gives them the tools to be able to set things up as they are the front run. They are the platform. So you go on, you set up your platform, you put in your domain name, you put in your brand, your colors, whatever, and it produces your brand. So I go onto your website, your domain, everything's branded, comes from Matt Wilson or comes from Creative Nowhere Land. We're just the engine. So we'll support you as the engine of your system.
Right. And I mean, and I can see the potential for so many people for this because it's...
Yeah, of course. There's so many people out there And the thing is, I get a lot of calls, I get a lot of messages, like I say, from different types of people. It's not just event goers or event or organisers. It's people in all different spaces, supporting people. How can you help me build this?
Is your run club part of it yet? Rocker.
There will be. Yeah.
Because that's the prime example, community.
I'm speaking with Rudy right now, the guy who runs
it.
it.
So just for reference, Rock Up is a what we call it, a running meetup,
yeah, it's like
a running club?
Meetup. It happens, I think it's every Saturday now, and they do like 5K runs, but perfect example. It started small, we're not even 100, 10, 20 people started with. Every week, people talk, come to this, and it's called Rise Over Challenges, so people who want to really just go out there and try something, get over, I don't know, something was a blocker in their life, and they just go to run with similar-minded people, and it's just going from strength to strength. That's a perfect example of building community, making feel like you're part of something. If I go rock, there's people, like he says, it's not all about who's going to run the fastest 5K. It's about
having a networking meeting as you're jogging around.
Exactly. You can walk it if you like. There's people who walk it. There's people who run it. I've met people there I've never seen before on it, and it's like you create communities within yourself. It's like, yeah, man, we can do this together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what we're trying to do on a bigger scale.
Community and networking out of the sterile environment of the networking event or whatever it might be.
Yeah, because you're more comfortable. So, and then I'm not going to tell you too much about the system because I don't want
it. You keep it secret. You got to keep that stuff secret.
When it's all completed, you'll see the bigger picture.
Sure. I mean, I don't think there will ever be a completion because, as we said, it's always going to evolve. But where are you on that? What do you feel like? Is it just on a steady progression, or are you having some big launch, or or where do you see that? Have you got a timeline in your mind?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Yeah, to be honest, I'm saying to myself, I want to have, because I'm kind of doing a rebrand, but I want to have it ready within the next 6 months. It's got to be before the year's out, basically.
No, that's good. That's the drive. That's the target.
But for me, it's like, as I said, if I put the target and the time on it, just like when I'm doing anything, whether I'm training, whether I've got a cut to do when I'm training, it's like, okay, that's the target. I need to make it happen.
And this Dean, you've almost orchestrated me perfectly into like the segue of going straight into. So we've met a bit about you.
Yep.
And we're slowly getting to see all these goals, the drives, the determination, the discipline.
Yeah.
Money's not a driver, though, is it? I mean, take out the fact that we've all got to live.
Everyone wants money.
Everyone wants money, and we've all got to have a nice, comfortable life.
Yeah.
But when we spoke, it's...
Yeah, money makes things easier, of course. Everyone wants money for that part of things. It can fast-track certain things. But it's not the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing. Because I believe there's a bigger picture. I just feel like, it sounds crazy, but I just feel like I can change so much in my community, for a start.
When you say your community, what do you mean?
The black community.
Black community.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I've got to be real, haven't I? Like, I feel like I can really make a change for the better for my community.
Yeah, because I mean, having known you for so long, you're an advocate for black excellence and opportunity, not just for. I don't want to make it about race, but not just about race, about people that are not getting an opportunity. Essentially,
of course, I think there's so many. I don't want to say underrepresented, disadvantaged, but in theory there is, and I just feel like Bloco can make that change. I don't know why. I just believe that will be the case, and it won't just be for people like big companies. Like I'm saying, it will be for the smaller, underrepresented creatives out there who need just that
a place,
space to make a change.
Yeah, for I was going to say the unexpressed, or people looking to express themselves, but maybe
there's so many gems out there who probably have a lot they can do, but they don't necessarily have the know-how. They don't necessarily have the tools, the money, because you know what it's like. That okay, you just signing up for certain things, you have to constantly pay money for everything. Whereas I'm trying to make it affordable for people to be able to, even free, just to get into what they want to do. You can set up for free.
Wow.
But it gives you the tool to go, okay, I can actually start something with very low risk, because if it doesn't work, I haven't lost any money.
And that's,
do you know what I mean?
Both of us know that's the hardest thing, starting, especially, and if you can take some of that risk away,
Yeah.
it's going to give people more impetus to start, because it's very easy to find an excuse not to start, isn't it?
There's always an excuse.
There's always an excuse
it's
not to start.
I haven't
That's
got
what
or it's not the right time. Whereas,
every motivational speaker or every person you and I listen to on podcasts, it's always like, got to just start. It doesn't matter.
Even if you've got one sale, you've made a sale. Okay, then how can I make that one sale 3 sales?
Yeah.
If that one person tells someone else, that's 2 sales. Okay, I can see something happening there, and then it just cultivates. It keeps growing and growing and growing, and it will happen if you're consistent with something. It will.
Well, what's the thing is that you can be as motivated as you like, but if you're not disciplined to do that thing, even when you're not motivated,
you have to be. And I think that's
going to go nowhere.
I think that's where my discipline comes in. It's like you could have slow periods or times where it's like, is this even working? But I'll never give up on it, because it's like, I've got to make it happen.
But this is where I think we've gone full circle, in the fact that you grew up with that discipline, which was probably a ball ache in some respects, with going to church every Sunday and this, that, and the other. But the discipline of your dad training, determination to get stronger, to get more, capable, shall we say?
Yeah.
But I think that's all come full circle, and now you're. But I think it's rare. I think it's a really nice attribute to have, that you're thinking about other people, because, like you say, we do live in a time where we are a bit selfish, and it's like, I want to make money, and I want to make this, and I want to do this, and now my drive is just to make as much money as my family, so my family can have generational wealth, and Bailey and Kane don't have to work and all that. But it's,
no. They're definitely going to have to work.
And I think that's great that you're saying that, because I think you're instilling. I mean, not to Kane and Bailey are wicked, but I think they're going to grow up with parents in their life that they see that he's a grafter, he's a grinder, he's Gail as well, your partner. You both work very hard.
Yep.
And you're both very determined and very goal driven, and I think that is such a good. There's such good attributes to represent for your children to see, and not just for your children. Look, I've told you a million times how I admire your grind, I admire your respect, and I it's a big driver for me when I look around. What would Dean do? Well, probably a lot more than I would, because he's, but everything, and I think I'm going to say something. Do you think some of that? When you were going left and your family were going right, did you feel like you were just like the outlier within that group, and then suddenly you had to prove yourself to them?
I don't need to prove myself to anyone, but I just felt like...
Okay, actually, let me reframe it. Are you trying to prove something to yourself?
Probably myself more than anything. That to say, like, I know I can do this, but I don't need to do it for anybody. It's probably more for myself. I can get there and be like, I did that. The hard work is paying off. What I'm trying to do is actually making a difference. Because at the end of the day, it's about making a difference. I could do all this for money.
And that's what I mean.
I could do all this for money, build this great system and sell it and be chilling somewhere. But it's like, that's never really been the aim. I think it's about making the change, building a legacy. You know what I mean? Give people opportunities, man.
And where do you see that in 5 years' time?
5 years' time, like I said, I feel like it should be in places where you wouldn't expect it. I would like you to go to Brazil, go to Ghana, and Bloco be there as a system or a tool. Bloco, well, I can use that tool. So someone there can set up, no problem, start making money. That'd be great.
I'm going into my advertising brain there. How do you promote?
In terms of in different places?
Well, yeah, sort of, but also because Bloco it's not the easiest thing to explain what it is.
I feel like
presumably you've got an elevator pitch or something when it all refined.
Yeah, of course. But I think once you start seeing people making change, and themselves will be showing what they can do, I think then it will start making it clearer that.
Like your business in the interim, you didn't advertise once; it was all word of mouth.
I think that's when, and people will know, how did you do that? Where did you start? I used Bloco to create what I needed to create. What's Bloco? It's about creating these connections, and then it kind of just be self-explanatory at the time. It sounds very techie, very like, okay, then there's so much to do.
Yeah.
But the simplicity of it is, you don't have to have it all. Like there's areas where you could just have one area of what we do, but it's still going to help you get to.
And like you say, for a start, if you wanted to, you could just have a landing page or a bit of branded up something before you start going into CRM branded systems and events and tickets and selling.
You know what it's like when people are trying to find out about you. It's like, have you got a website? oh, have you got this? It's like, yeah, I've got it always here on my page.
Do you want it to be a case of like maybe in 5 years' time where people, instead of going, oh, I'll check my Instagram, people go, I'll check my Bloco? Or is that too specific?
Kind of, in terms of you'll still be able to see the people using the platform, but at the same time, I want people to build their brand.
And
so
just be the back end.
We would still be powered by us and like, but it's about you. You can't build a brand off someone else, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like people will say, if Instagram goes, we're doing this, can't do anything. Like, we want to give people the tools to be able to build the brand. So then if for some reason Bloco did disappear, you've still got your brand. People now know about you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because
obviously if you've got your Instagram one, everyone knows, you've got Instagram 100,000 followers, it disappears. You kind of disappear with it. Whereas if you've built a brand and you've made a stamp of approval that this is creative Noteland, Bloco disappears. People are still going to, this is creative. They're going to look for creative Note.
Well, that's kind of, does
that make sense?
Yeah, that's the influence that you've given me and the things that we've always learned. It's like you build yourself as a brand first, people will recognize the brand, and then you can sort of branch off and go, oh, I'm going to try something else. I'm going to try something. I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to make some art. I'm going to write a poem. I
still feel like even if you were eventually to come off of Bloco, we've still given you the
brand is still the
brand. Oh my God. Now I'm like, I've got all this following. I've got all these sales. If you now need to go to a bigger, that's fine. But what you know is, and in your story is, I use Bloco to get me where I am today.
So what does life, like, if everything goes how you want it, what does life look like for Dean Gordon? Is it sitting on the Copacabana beach just counting his money from Bloco?
I definitely would like to do something in Britain. But no, I've always said, like, my life's, I'm a pretty simple person, man. Like, my dream is just to build my own house from the ground up and just be with my family and friends. That's it. There's no real big, oh my God, I want to have these skyscrapers in Dubai and be sitting by a pool. Not really. I'd rather just build my house exactly how I want it, eating with family and good friends and laughing and joking.
Well, it's funny, isn't it?
Without having too much stress on your head, I guess.
Yeah.
That's it.
I mean, we'll always have stress. I think
you know what I mean.
Always has stress, but I think that's the dream, isn't it? And like you say, we get to an age when we realise that actually money is only the facilitator of time.
Oh, of course.
And freedom.
There we go.
You know, look at this. It's like we're sat today recording a podcast because we're two self-employed people and we can make our diary to put this into...
You have to be able to fit it in
a position. Yeah.
Of course.
Dude, it's very inspiring. Do you think, I mean, I know you're, this sounds like a weird question, but I know you're a great dad, but can you see any of your drive and determination becoming in Kane and Bailey, or they take Bailey's behaviour this morning out of it if she's listening?
Yeah, no, Bailey, she's wicked, man. She's just growing up, isn't she? She's so
headstrong.
Yeah. She's
wonder where she gets that from.
She's like me, but Kane is a creative. He will sit there and create a series of books, different covers. He'll sit there all day and do it. He's not really too fussed about playing games, and he'll sit there and do his creative. But Dad, I've done 5 books.
Wow.
You need to read all 5 of them over and over again.
That's ace.
But it's just like...
Does that make you proud to see that creativity?
He's just not someone he will sit there and just do nothing. He's more of he'd rather do creative stuff than to just do the norm of...
Definitely his father's son.
Yeah. And I just think it's fine, like, it's a hard one, because with your children, you know, when our parents are like, they try and put you in a direction you might not want to go. But with my children, I'll make sure whatever they're trying to do, I will support them in whatever they're trying to do, because...
Well, Bloco can be the platform for them to...
But that's it. I will test it on Bailey. I'll say, go on then. You're always talking about you want to do this, you want to create this T-shirt brand, you want to do this. There you go. There's the tools.
Does she talk about stuff like that?
Yeah, all the time. And she's very much on her social medias. But she's not... The good thing about Bailey is she's not just scrolling through other people's stuff. She created her own account. She wants to do her own little reels. And so it's like I can see where she's got a creative mind rather than just sitting there watching everybody else.
And watching.
She'd rather do it for herself.
Don't be a watcher.
And she's like, she goes into the analytics. She sees where people are looking from. She tries to go, okay, then I've got people looking from Tanzania. How can I get people? She's quite into it like that. I can see she's got good qualities. Maybe it's me rubbing off on her. I don't know, but
it can't not be, dude. I mean, all those intricacies of someone, you don't get many. What's Bailey, 12?
She's 12 this year.
12 this year. 12-year-olds going and looking at their analytics of their social media. How do I attract more followers in Tanzania?
Literally.
Tanzania is famous for, let's do it.
But that's what she does. And she sees what's what's going on over there, influential and stuff. And she'll create something along those lines.
She's learning trend forecasting and all sorts of things already.
But I try not to let her have it too much.
But I just wanted to sort of gauge, obviously, because you and Gail are wonderful parents, but I think it's interesting to see how you're sort of rubbing off or your drive, determination, discipline, creativity, all of these things.
It's still hard because you've got to be a parent, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, you've got to bollock them sometimes. They need it. Like, it's
not even just the bollock. It's just like you still have to do the other things what are not necessarily creative and not necessarily, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The mundane. So you still got to be a parent. You've got to be active in their life.
And make sure they're safe, social,
exactly,
strong members of society when you kick them out of the house. Eventually. I mean, you're way off that yet, though.
But
that must be nice to see.
It is good to see. I know.
Are they giving any indicators of what they will like, sort of what they want to do?
No,
not yet. It's a bit young.
Bit young. Kids change all the time.
Of course, yeah.
So, like I said, I'll support them with whatever they want to do, but I will try and get them to do some Bloco stuff.
Well, it seems like a no-brainer. If their dad's created a platform that gives them the ability to do this, then why wouldn't they?
But my problem is, as you know, my creativity is going to start getting, I can do this and I can do that. I'm literally trying to build. This is just the start. Like the stuff I'm trying to do outside, we're still within Bloco, but outside of the tech side of things is going to be huge, which you'll see come to fruition. And
can you give us a little clue on any of that, or do you want to keep that close to your chest? What does that look like?
Okay, I won't give too much. I'm trying to create. No, I'm creating.
No
should I say no try?
No try.
I'm creating somewhere for people who basically the infrastructure of this thing I'm creating will all be powered by Bloco. But I'm creating a place where people can go and actually do things in real. So if you've got your community and you've created it, you can use this facility to be able to do those things. In-person event.
Right.
So the space I'm trying to create will have educational side of things. It will have a leisure side of things where people who are building can utilize this space to do that.
Interesting. He's looking at you with very coded eyes.
Obviously, I can't give too much.
No, of course not. But I appreciate that. But like, I love how you've gone from someone I sort of looked at with just admiration in terms of your creative skills, who I now look at with admiration in terms of your business acumen, your drive. I mean, God, we'll have to call this podcast Drive, Determination and Discipline or something, won't we? Because. But as I say, that's why I wanted to get you on, because you are one of those people that I look at myself and I go, oh God, I could just stick my feet up. Oh, what would Dean do? He's like the conscious on my, like, oh, Dean's probably working now.
Yeah.
And there is elements where we have to be careful. We don't want people to listen to this and go, you've got to constantly grind, because some people aren't built like us and they will burn out.
Not everyone has to do that though.
It's
only if you want to do that, I guess. But I'm going to do that.
Yeah,
I'm going to grind. I'm going to be at the gym. I'm going to be determined. You'll very rarely see me with my feet up.
Yeah, and I feel like it's interesting because we're both advocates that we've got limited time.
Yeah, getting older.
And people joke about it with us, but we are getting older. There's limited time. There's lots we want to accomplish, lots we want to achieve, lots we want to do.
I think one of the things for me that is probably one thing I don't do enough of is I probably should have a little bit more fun with it. In terms of, don't be so uptight with it.
But I get that, Dean. When it's your baby, when it's your thing, it's very difficult. Very difficult to, like, people say, oh, like work-life balance.
Yeah.
I don't have one. I go to bed. I lay on my bed when all the distractions are gone and I'm thinking about work. I'm thinking about creating.
But the thing is, for me, I was speaking to Guy about it. I love working. It's probably a bad thing, but I don't think I'd like working for anyone else.
It's the context of it. You're working to build something for yourself.
What I'm building for myself and for legacy and for people around me, I guess. Can't help it. It's just what I like to do. If I don't do it, just have a day off or just... I sit there, I'm bored, I've got nothing to do, I'm itching to get back and do some work. It's like, that's just how it is. I'm the worst person on the way back from a holiday, or because I'm already in.
Can you switch off on a holiday?
Where did I go last? In Turkey. Yeah.
Yeah,
I can.
But then on the plane back, you're already like, just check my emails.
No. I still check emails in the morning.
Yeah.
I can't help it. It's just in case.
But it is hard, isn't it? When you're constant. But then that's years of grinding, doing it all for yourself, doing it all for you, the kids, for the family.
It might even be a fear that
that's not a bad thing.
It might disappear. I don't want it to disappear.
Fear's a really good driver.
Like it's like if I don't check something and I miss it, maybe it's all going to go to. That's just in my mind.
And it probably won't.
It won't.
But
that's just how I think.
Do you think fear's a good driver sometimes?
Yes. I think if you didn't have it, probably would stay pretty stagnant. I don't think probably wouldn't do the things you could do.
No.
Because the thing is, when I talk about this stuff, and then I look at what I've got to do, I'm like, that's a lot.
But then you have to remember that I get it all the time. I get people say, God, you're always working, you're always doing this. And I go, oh, I'm not doing as much as that person.
Exactly.
So you're sat there thinking that, and I'm looking at you going, I'm not doing as much as Dean. And then you're looking at someone else going, I'm not doing as much as that person.
There's someone out there who's 10x in me.
Yeah,
And I'm getting there. I'm like, no, what is this person doing? I need to see what.
But we have to also remember in the bigger picture, little steps soon mount up to a long distance. If you're consistent, disciplined, like we've already said, compound it. Yeah. Like we've already said.
Straight away, man. You just got to keep.
God, if we don't call this discipline, determination, and drive, this.
Call it what you want, man. Hopefully, well, I don't know if anyone would be inspired by it, but that's just how I am. I cannot help it. It's just.
I think people will be.
I think just being around good people, man, like-minded people who are on a path themselves is you helping each other. Do you know what I mean?
And a lot of the time, we will never know the people that we inspire. That's the interesting thing.
Maybe not.
Because, we're older now and we can talk a little bit, but I've admired you for such a long time. But it's probably only in the last couple of years that I've turned around and said, dude, man, I really respect what you're doing and this. Not that there was competition from me, but I just always felt like I was a bit like, oh, shit, I'm just not doing enough, man. I'm just not doing enough. But like we say, there's always someone, and there's probably not millions, but thousands of people that are looking at you going, oh my God, Dean is like I do. And we will never know those people.
Maybe. I hope so.
And that's
the whole reason. The whole reason for it.
And for Bloco, a platform for greatness, and to sort of help inspire and, shall we say, overlooked gems in society.
I'm inspired by people I see doing certain things. I think, oh man, this guy or this woman is grafting, man. Properly, putting the work in. I've got to keep putting the work in, man.
Yeah. But again, as human beings, you're probably guilty of it as well. We're always constantly analysing our chapter 3 and comparing it to someone's chapter 300 and going, God, why aren't I there yet?
Yeah, I get that a lot. So I've been doing a lot of research on companies, as you do. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, how are these guys doing this? How they got their team tripling in this part of time? And then I'm doing the research. I'm like, oh, wow, this company was formed in 2006.
Yeah.
They've been going for
that overnight success that's been going for 12 years.
And all this kind of, I'm thinking, oh, okay, then maybe I just need to, I've only been going for, it's like.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I missed out a massive bit of it. To be honest, what I didn't actually say was, when I was building all of this, obviously I'd done all this grafting of work for the couple of years. And when I launched, COVID happened.
Oh, you know what? It's so funny.
Somebody forgot about that.
We've moved on and COVID happens. You launched a brand new business in COVID.
Brand new business. Was ready to launch in March 2020 and COVID happened literally the week after.
Shit.
Whole world closes. All my money, or everything I spent to try and build what I wanted to do, gone. Just gone. There was no one,
Nothing.
Disappeared.
What does that do to your mentality at that point? I mean, we all suffered through, any self-employed person suffered through COVID, but what?
I just made it better. Just kept building on it.
Yeah.
Just thought, you know what? Go into my shed or my outhouse, whatever you want to call it, and make it better.
Yeah.
What else could I do?
I know what else you did during COVID. You started making art again.
Yeah.
Really off topic. I know that's really off topic. Yeah, but at the end of the day, you told me you were creative at the beginning of this podcast.
I did.
The last time I've seen you really create was in COVID. Beautifully inspired.
Yeah, I was doing some really cool Afro art, Afro futuristic art. I loved it. And I've done a few pieces.
Have you got any of those? Can we share some of those in the show?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, definitely. I created some really nice art.
Because I think it's important, because we're talking about, I mean, we've spoken so much about business, entrepreneurship, drive, determination. But the very first question I asked you, you were like, no, I'm a creative.
Yeah, I did. I was creating some cool digital Afro art. And it's funny, I always say this, but it's like, it's that same thing where I was creating this all in my mind when it's something that AI is doing now it's that same kind of dreamy, futuristic field. But I just create it in my mind myself and get it out on paper or on screen.
Which is what we all have to do as creators before AI got involved.
It's just, I'd still love to do that. There's so many other things I still want to do, which I probably interlink it with Bloco somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few things I want to do, and I just
around the art and creating.
Yeah.
Come on, don't leave me hanging. This is come on. That's not Bloco. It's not the back end system.
No. It's definitely not. It's not techie. So I do not to be a brand and start competing with, but I do want to create a fashion line from what I'm doing.
Okay.
And also a drink.
Nice.
Which I will do. But it's more for me to just get a bit creative.
Yeah.
Create something which is,
and I think that's so perfect when you design a brand that can, what's the word I'm looking for, that can traverse different merchandise, alcohol, websites, tech. That's when you know.
Yeah, it's because I just feel like it'd be so interesting, like, to create something which still, and it still links back to Caribbean, Brazil. Like, there's all these different rums.
Community. We all drink, like, let's have a little nice drink of rum together.
So but I still want it to have that, a bit of the culture, what I have in me in terms of my background.
Yeah.
Even Brazil. It's something I want to do. I haven't got a lot of time on my hands to do it, but it will be something I do for I just want to create it, have a bit of fun with it. I'm not trying to be selling gazillions in the Selfridges stores. That's not what I'm trying to do.
No.
It's to create this brand and just do something different.
It's yours then as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Mate, that sounds, as I say, that's so cool that we have gone kind of that full circle. The first question I asked you was that whether you're more creative than an entrepreneur. And we have, I suppose, we've spoken predominantly about business and drive, determination and getting there. But essentially, deep down, that all comes from your creativity.
Yeah.
Because let's talk about it with a big C. It's not just drawing, painting, whatever. Creativity is problem solving.
It's how
it's
my mind
idea
works.
generation. And like you say, it's how your mind's worked from being a young mechanic.
Yeah.
Trying those things okay, one of the final questions, full circle. What mum and dad and family now you're...
But now I'm what?
Well, okay, you're going to be all humble, but I'm saying you're a successful entrepreneur, great family, good business.
Yep.
From the outside looking in, a lovely lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Do they come back to you and sort of go, "Oh, we're very proud of you," and how different you?
Yeah, do you know what it was?
Differently you've done it compared to us, maybe, or something. I don't know.
A few things. My 40th birthday, they were proud of the people who were there and all the people who were around. It was
a swanky event.
Very
well,
nice. Yeah, it was a nice event. It was nice to be around the good people, friends from university, yourself. But then when I won the award for the Black-owned business, they were really like, "Oh wow."
Dude, we haven't even spoken. I can't believe, because you're too humble. Stop being humble.
It's not that I'm humble.
Okay, well, it is a bit. You are a bit. You sat there. You've got all your body language has changed for a start. Anyway, dude, tell me about that. Tell me about the award.
Yeah, so
let's celebrate it. Come on.
I got nominated for Birmingham Black-owned Business Award.
Right.
And it was for the Black-owned Business of the Year, 2023. Was it last year?
Yeah,
it was last year. So when I kind of won the award for that, my parents, my grandma, they were so, you can hear they were so proud. They were telling me, I can't believe it. My mum actually cried. It was quite interesting.
Did she? Oh, that's sweet.
It's just weird because I am proud of it. It's a big thing. It's a big achievement to win anything.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously people are seeing the work you're doing. Because I wouldn't have expected, it's just platform events and stuff. But I think the bigger picture of me, what I do in my life is probably what won me the award. Maybe I like to help a lot of people. I do a lot of stuff with charities. I work with a lot of women's charities and stuff like that. And I think the drive and the stuff with the community with Bloco and where I'm trying to get it to and helping communities, I think that's probably what people thought, this is going to be something.
It's not just about the business; it's about the future change that it could possibly
make. And I feel like, I deeply feel like it will make change. And
I don't doubt it.
And I will be giving back as well. Like that is a very important thing for me to do, is give back to community, build stuff where they can kind of prosper.
Who are the people in your communities that you think have sort of been that role model, that have given back, that you're looking at and go, well, they gave back to me, maybe, or maybe there isn't anyone, and maybe that's the reason why. And is that the reason why you feel like you want to be that
Before
person?
I say that, let me think. I don't want to say there isn't. And then, oh shit, what about?
I did it all alone, which we never do, because we forget all the side people that are there just supporting us quietly.
I don't think there's anyone in particular where I'm like, yeah, they've done this for me, and so I've got to give back. I can see, like in Northampton, for example, there's just not a lot. And I feel like if there's something built, people can actually make something themselves. Maybe in Northampton, definitely in Birmingham, because I spent half my life here. I just feel like it'd just be something special, to be honest. And I feel like giving back is probably what we need to do. We're getting, like I said, we're getting older now.
Yeah.
Can't have to think to myself. It's got to be, okay, then how do we now pour that into the future people, future youngsters? So I think giving back to the young will be probably where I will take this.
Right.
Yeah, man. Got to give people the tools to be able to...
You want to make impact.
Impact.
Change.
Give them a kind of level playing field for them to showcase what they can actually do. It's like grassroots, isn't it? Going back to the roots to show, okay, then there's these kids, there's these young people here. They've got so much talent. Just give them the tools, the feel for them to play their game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
That's epic. That's epic. Right.
It will be.
Mate, look, drive, determination and all that discipline, I have no doubt it will, mate. And it's something that I think people listening to this need to pay close attention to, because I do believe that Bloco will be a place that artists, creatives could almost thrive over a lot of,
they will.
Over a lot of, shall we say, other platforms.
Yeah, they will.
You know, and I think it's only going to be an interesting journey on the way. Anyway, dude, right. Yeah. I think we've spoken for a very long time.
Is it too long?
No, man. There's nothing too long. Okay. Fuck all this, like, oh, you got to clip it to short form. If we're talking and we're having an interesting conversation, I'm not cutting anyone short. No way.
Sorry if I bored you.
No, fucking stop being so humble. Wind your neck in. You didn't bore anyone.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so my thing is, at the end of every podcast, little final tradition that I'm slowly trying to introduce to the podcast is some sort of quote or inspiring, something that's inspiring. It can come from you or someone.
Okay.
Have you got a quote for us that you think would be an inspiring little thing to leave the listeners on?
Like I was saying, a lot of the drive and stuff probably comes from my background, my culture, my parents, and just kind of, obviously they've come over from Jamaica, so they're very much about their knowledge of a past history and stuff like that. So there's actually a quote from Marcus Garvey. I don't know if you've heard the quote. Well, I know you've heard of Marcus Garvey.
I was going to say, just,
have you?
Yeah, no, I've heard of Marcus, and obviously, just for reference, this is what your first company with Dwayne and
exactly,
Devon,
yeah. So
Garvey Design.
It's all a little bit. It's all a bit.
Sorry,
interlinked.
interrupt you, Marcus Garvey.
But yeah, the quote was, "A people without their knowledge of their past history, knowledge, and culture is like a tree without its roots."
Oh, I like that.
Yep, I like it too.
Can you read that again for
People
me?
without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots.
Yeah. Oh, that hits different,
yeah,
doesn't
man.
it?
So I just feel like you've kind of got to know your history, your culture,
where you've come from.
Yeah, where you've come from.
That's a key thing from going back to, again, what we said, listening to your grandparents talk.
Yeah, of course. Obviously, they inspired me for so many things. Just the stories they used to tell. So for me, that quote was just like, yeah, you've got to take it back to the roots, man. You've got to make sure.
That's, in some ways, the essence of Bloco. You're building the tree off all the roots that you've been doing over the last...
Of course.
That's made you.
No roots.
No tree.
No tree.
No tree, no Bloco.
Literally no nothing. So,
and the branches of Bloco suddenly become everyone that signs up.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's sick. I like that. Marcus Garvey quote. That's wicked. And finally...
Yes.
With the spider web that we want the Creative Nowhere Land podcast to carry on, I'm asking all of my guests to to recommend someone that's inspired you or someone in your network that you think that would be an interesting person to come on the podcast to tell their story or talk about their journey?
Ooh, it's interesting. There's potentially two people, but let me think who would be more suited. I think an interesting one would be one of my business partners, Des.
Okay. Why Des?
Because I think he's got a very interesting past. He's just a very interesting person in general. The connections he has, the businesses he's built, he's doing his PhDs, he's a smart guy. But he's also just so connected in so many different ways to so many different things. But he'd be a good person because the dynamic would be completely different to what I'm kind of talking about. He's in a lot of different spaces.
Okay.
Yeah. There's.
And presumably, obviously, him being your business partner and in your network, that's something that we can organise, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, yeah, sweet. Yeah, yeah, no, but I've had people go, oh, you should do a podcast with such and such.
Yeah.
I'm like, do you know them? No. So I'm like, well, that's fucking useless then, isn't it?
I think Jess would be very good. I'm trying to not Jess, sorry. I was going to say Jess.
Monroe.
She would be very good. She's a very interesting person.
Okay.
I think Des.
Well, potentially there is more scope. That look, my plan is not to stop the Creative No Alan podcast.
Yeah.
Your recommendation can be that, but then maybe in the future I'll speak to Jess as well.
I think so. She's
because hopefully, like once you put this out there, we'll get a bit more traction, and then people in your network will know a bit more.
I hope so. If people want to hear me talking, I don't know, man.
They will.
You might send it and get one listen.
Nah, look. At the end of the day, and even if we do,
yeah,
that one listener might go away and start something and be inspired. So
yeah, it's true.
It's about if I have interesting and inspiring conversations with people who I know.
Yep.
Surely someone, if I'm inspired by it, surely someone else is going to get some sort of inspiration from it somewhere, whatever that might be. And like we said, we never know who the people we often inspire are.
100%.
Dude, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it. I know you're a very busy man and you're going to kick me out of your offices any second now because you've got more Bloco stuff to deal with. But dude, I really appreciate it and just want to wish you luck on the Bloco journey and hope I can, me and Creative Noah Land and all my brands can come along.
Everyone will be on there at some point. I guarantee you that.
I hope so, dude.
They will do.
Thanks, buddy.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Noah Land podcast. If you found anything inspiring or useful in this episode, please consider subscribing or maybe sharing the episode with a friend. Anything you can do to help promote and support Creative Noah Land is so beneficial and I really appreciate it. Check out the website and sign up to the newsletter to be the first to know of everything that's going on here in Creative Noah Land. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, explore, inspire, and create.
Better to have a short life that is full of what you like doing than a long life spent in a miserable way. And so, therefore, it's so important to consider this question: what do I desire?